Welcome back to our YouTube channel. Today we are going to show you how to add a cool show some love button to your website using Font Awesome. Alright, let's dive right in. First, make sure you have the Font Awesome library loaded in your project. You can do this by including the following link in the head section of your HTML file. Now that we have the Font Awesome ready to go, let's create our Show Some Love button. We'll use a button element with a class of love to target it our CSS. Now we'll add some nested span elements to hold the icon and the text. Now let's add some CSS. The first line of the code sets the box sizing property for all elements to border box. Moving on to the body selector, we set the background color a white, the display property flex, and the flex direction set to column. We use justify content and align items to center our content both horizontally and vertically. The height is set to 100 VH. And lastly, we set some overflow to hidden. Let's now focus on the love selector. We start by giving the button a background color which is shade of a red. The border property is set to 0. And the border radius is set to 5 pixels, giving the button rounded corners. The box shadow property adds a shadow effect to the button. We set the text color to white. The cursor property is set to pointer. The display property is set to flex. We remove the padding by setting it to 0. And we choose a sans serif font family. The font size is set to 20 pixels, making the text slightly larger. We add a letter spacing of 0.5 pixel, giving a bit of spacing between the characters. Lastly, we'll use text transform to capitalize the text and add a margin of 25 pixel, and the width is set to 350 pixel, ensuring the button has a fixed width. Now we will use the focus CDO class to style the button when it receives focus. In this case, we remove the outline by setting it to none, giving a clearer experience. Now let's move on to the love icon container selector. We'll add a background color of white. The border top left radius and the border button left radius property create a rounded corner on the left side of the container. We added a right border of 1 pixel solid. The text color is set to matching the button background color. We added a padding of 20 pixel on the top and the button and 25 pixel on the left, creating some spacing with the container. The position property is set to relative. Now, let's focus on the love text selector. The style of the span element that holds the text within the button, we added a padding of 0 and on the left and the right side. We'll use flex 1 to allow the text. The text align property is set to center, ensuring the text is aligned. Lastly, we have the heart container. We style the heart container with a button. We position it absolutely with the icon container using the top, left, and transform property. We set the color to match the button background color. The font size is set to 15 pixels. We added a transform property to animate the heart movement using the translate function. The animation property creates a fly animation that lasts for 3 seconds, moving the heart upwards. Now we'll add some keyframe. Now let's add JS. We start by selecting all the buttons with the class love using the document.querySelectorAll method. We store them in the love button variable. We iterate through each button using the forEach method. We attach every listener to two events, mouse down and mouse up. When the user presses down on the button, the mouse down event is triggered in the event listener callback function. We updated the color using the love button style color. This gives a visual indication that the button has been clicked. Additionally, we'll call the create heart. We'll call the create heart function through the button icon container element has the argue. Moving on to the mouse up event, it occurs when the user releases the mouse button after clicking. In the event listener callback function, we updated the background color and the text color to FF. We'll also change the inner HTML of the text element to thank you as a display of a gratitude. Now, let's take a closer look at the create heart function. This function is responsible for generating a heart animation when the button is clicked, and it takes the container element as an argument. Inside the heart create heart function, we use a loop to create 15 heart elements. We use set timeout to stagger the creation of each heart, creating a visually pleasing effect. For each heart, we created a span element with the class heart. Inside the span, we insert an eye element with the class of that font awesome part, which is a part of a font awesome. This gives us a heart shape icon. We randomly position each heart with the container using the math.random method. The left and the top style are set to a random percentage value, giving each heart a different position. We'll also set the font size style to a random value between the 5 and the 25 pixel, making each heart slightly different in size. The animation duration style is set to a random value between 3 and 5 seconds, determining the duration of the heart animation. Each heart is appended to the container element using container.appendChildHeart. Okay, now we remove the heart element using the set timeout and the heart remove method. And that's how we created the animated heart when the button is clicked. We hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you found it helpful, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell to stay updated in our latest content. Thanks for watching and happy coding.